Hey everybody, happy Thanksgiving. Today I decided I'm going to do something a little bit different. As you guys know, I usually make very serious videos on mental health, and that's always going to be the majority of what this channel is. But I thought today it might be fun to do something a little more lighthearted and show you guys that I am like an actual human being with hobbies and interests and not just like a mental health AI robot, which some people have accused me of being. There are not a ton of things that I get super passionate or excited about other than mental health, but there are a few. One of them, and probably one of my favorite things in this whole world, as silly as it might sound, is fragrances. I like smelling good, and I'm really interested in like the construction of fragrances, the different notes, the top notes, the middle notes, the base notes, the different brands. Like I nerd out on this stuff so hard, and I get really into the origin stories and like what country are they from, who's the perfumer. So today I'm going to do something candid and just share with you my fragrance collection. I'm basically going to pretend to be a fragrance influencer today. And just like I said, let's just see a different side of me. I'm going to rank these fragrances from least to most controversial. And if you're like, how on earth can a fragrance be controversial? Stick around, I'll explain that. First, we have Parfums de Marly Sedley. This is an incredibly safe, pleasant, and inoffensive fragrance. Main notes in this are going to be lemon, lime, and mint. A lot of people have said this smells like opening a fresh can of Sprite, and I can see that. This is a really good fragrance for like office settings, warm weather. It's not too strong. There's not a single note in this thing that most people are going to have a problem with. So this is a very safe daily fragrance. Next up, I have Amouage Reflection. This is a Middle Eastern fragrance. It's a floral sandalwood fragrance for men. I know that might sound a little different because you don't necessarily see a lot of floral fragrances for men. It works in this case. There's still something undeniably masculine about it, even though it kind of smells like flowers. It has sort of like a freshly laundered vibe. It's very professional, very I read a review once that said, like, this is what a person who has their life together smells like. And since I aspire to be that person, that's a fragrance I really enjoy. It's also surprisingly strong for a floral. This is 40 Knots by Xerjoff. I think that's how you pronounce it. They're an Italian brand. This is a woody, salty fragrance. It is supposed the 40 knots, the name is supposed to reference like yachting, I think. I don't know, I've never been on a yacht. I know it's a nautical term. And so this fragrance is kind of supposed to smell like the ocean. And it does have this distinctly like clean, salty vibe, kind of mixed with some woods. Lasts forever, borderline too strong for some situations. I love it, but I have heard some people say it smells a little bit like Johnson and Johnson baby powder, and to be frank, I can see where they're coming from on that. This is Tom Ford Beau de Jour. This is kind of like a modernized version of like an old school 80s barbershop fragrance. It is mostly lavender and sage and patchouli. So it does have a little bit of that, like you just got a haircut feeling. Depending on your age, it might smell a little bit like your dad, possibly even your grandpa, but in a modern kind of sexy way, if that makes sense. It reminds me of, if you guys know what like synthwave or retro wave music is, it's music that kind of has an 80s vibe, but it's made with like modern instruments and modern production. Beau de Jour is like a synthwave fragrance. Xerjoff Naxos. This is a very, very popular, very, very strong fragrance. It's also very unisex and very sweet. It's almost too sweet for me, and that's why I've got it a little higher on the controversial side of things. This is tobacco, lavender, honey, and bergamot primarily. I don't really know how to explain what that combination of things smells like, other than it's kind of unbelievably good, but it almost reminds me of like eating a bite of cake or something like that. It's like it's really good, but you don't necessarily want too much of it. It can get to be a little overbearing after a while. Starting to get into controversial stuff here. Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. The name on this one is fairly self-explanatory. It primarily smells like tobacco and vanilla. It also has hints of clove and other holiday spices. Depending on your background, a lot of people will say this one smells like Christmas in a bottle. Some people have said it smells a little bit like the clove cigarettes. For those of you who were goth teenagers in the 90s like me, that's a reference that will make sense to you. It's definitely a little bit of a polarizing fragrance. It's also very, very strong, so you got to be a little careful with that one. All right, we're on to the second most controversial fragrance I own. And this one's also new to me. This is Parfums de Marly Haltane. This is primarily a dry, woody fragrance with some hints of sweetness in it from praline. The reason this one's controversial is it has a little bit of something called oud in it. If you don't know what oud is, this is going to sound disgusting, but it actually, in my opinion, smells good. Oud is basically like a fungus that grows on trees, and it has like a woody, sweet smell. If you've never smelled oud, there's not really a way I can explain what it is to you. You just have to smell it. This has a very, very small amount in it. So it's not an oud-based fragrance, which a lot of the classic Middle Eastern fragrances are, but it does have a hint of that. And some people also feel like it has just a hint of like kind of a gasoline motor oil vibe, but primarily it's a dry, woody fragrance with just a little bit of sweetness to it. Now, the most controversial fragrance I own, but also honestly my favorite, Amouage Interlude Man. This means probably nothing to most of you. This fragrance is nicknamed the Blue Beast. I don't know how all the bottle colors coming through there, but it is the strongest fragrance known to man, at least that I've ever tried. And when I say, like, I'm talking, if you buy this, you put one spray on yourself and you do not leave the house for an hour or people will be choking. It is that strong, no joke. Like, even though it is my favorite smell in the entire world, I don't wear it very often because there are very few situations where it is appropriate to wear. It's a very Middle Eastern fragrance, and it kind of makes you smell like a sultan, like an Arabian prince, which is awesome. But there's not a lot of real world situations where it is appropriate for me to smell like an Arabian prince. So I am very careful where, when, and how I use that. It kind of smells, it has a lot of smoke in it, a lot of frankincense, a lot of incense, a lot of sandalwood. Depending on how your nose works, some people would say it smells like the world's most exotic bonfire. Some people say it smells like an ashtray. I can see either side, but I tend towards the former. Um, but very few places where you can wear that and not get strong reactions to it. My son loves it. My wife hates it. I would never dare to wear it to work because I think people might quit. It's really something, and you should try it at least once in your life if you get a chance to. So that's my fragrance collection. I only have eight, which is like it is a lot, but if you see people who are actually like really, some people have hundreds. So really, mine is nothing compared to a lot of people. Let me know what you think of this because this is different for me. Obviously, this is never going to be something I do like consistently. This is going to remain a mental health channel. But if you guys enjoy occasionally just kind of getting to see me as a person and just seeing what else I'm into besides trying really, really hard not to be depressed, let me know. I don't know what other videos like this I would make because I don't have very many hobbies, but I could certainly give it a shot. So if this is fun for you guys, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Take care.